Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're going to be tackling the HDI.
The Human Development Index.
Right, the HDI.
Yeah.
And honestly, I need a little refresher on this.
Me too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we're in the same boat, which is why we have all this great source material.
Yes.
First up, we've got this YouTube video.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this one. It's from that DataViz guy.
Andy Kriebel.
Yes. He's great at explaining complicated stuff.
Yeah, he really is.
Like, in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. And then we also have this UN explainer video on sustainable development.
That sounds right up my alley.
I thought so. And to round things out, we've got a few excerpts from this economics audiobook.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I think some of the stuff in here might surprise us, so...
I'm intrigued already.
Me too. Let's start with that YouTube video, okay.
Sounds good.
All right, so Kriebel is talking about how he takes all this HDI data and basically turns it into these really cool visuals. Like, he's got this interactive chart that shows, like, every country's HDI score over time.
I love how he does that.
Yeah.
He helps you see the HDI as, like, more than just a bunch of numbers.
Right.
It's like watching a movie of how countries are doing. You know?
Yeah.
Whether they're getting better or or not.
Exactly.
In terms of giving their people a good life.
And he really breaks down all the different things that go into the HDI.
Right, like those three main dimensions. And those aren't just random categories they picked.
Yeah, like what are those again?
So it's a long and healthy life.
Yeah.
Access to knowledge.
Oh, right.
And then a decent standard of living.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are kind of the basics for a good life, wouldn't you say?
Totally.
Yeah.
And then he breaks those down even further.
Oh, right. Like with life expectancy?
Exactly. Like how long people are living on average. And then there's education levels.
Right. So whether people are going to school and stuff?
Yeah. And for how long? And then, of course, there's income.
Yeah. Like how much money people are making.
Right. Like on average.
To make sure they have enough to live.
Exactly. And I think what makes the HDI so useful is that it combines all those things into one number.
It's like a snapshot.
Yeah.
It's not just about, like, how rich a country is, but how that actually affects people's lives.
That's a really good point. Okay, so let's move on to that UN video about the Sustainable Development Goals.
Oh, the SDGs.
Yeah, everyone calls them the SDGs.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about this video?
What's that?
It breaks the SDGs down into 5 Ps.
5 Ps.
Yeah, I know, right? Makes them way easier to remember. People, planet.
Oh, okay, I see.
Prosperity, peace, and partnership.
Clever.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. They talk about how the HDI, it's actually like a really important tool for measuring how we're doing on those SDGs.
Yeah, especially for the people part, right?
Exactly.
Because it shows whether people are actually better off.
Yes, like are they living longer?
Are they healthier?
Are they getting more education?
Are they making enough money?
Right, all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's like a progress report.
Yes, and if those things are getting better, then it's like, okay, we're on the right track.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the numbers, you know.
It's about real people's lives.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got data visualization.
Check.
Global goals.
Check.
Now let's throw some economics in the mix.
Oh, my favorite.
I thought you'd like that. So this audiobook is by an economist named Partha Dasgupta. Have you heard of him?
I have, yeah. He's done some really fascinating work on sustainable development.
Yeah, and in this book, he talks about how, like, institutions shape a country's success.
Like beyond just the HDI numbers.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, he gets into like how markets and communities and governments all kind of interact, you know? And how that impacts a country's prosperity.
I like how he compares like different types of economy.
Oh, yeah, he does that thing with
Becky's world versus Duance's world, right?
Yes.
Where Becky's world is like, you know, a typical developed economy.
Driven by markets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Desta's world is more...
like subsistence agriculture.
Yeah. And strong community ties.
Right. And he shows how those different setups...
lead to totally different outcomes.
Totally. Not just in terms of money, but also like...
social well-being.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even how resources are shared within families.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is. So it's not just about a country being rich or poor, but about all these other factors, too.
Right, how things actually work on the ground.
Exactly. And then he brings up this really interesting concept called tied engagements.
Tied engagements.
I know, it sounds complicated.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty simple. So imagine there are 3 people. A patron, we'll call him A.
Okay.
And then 2 other people, B and C. A wants to do business with both B and C.
Separately.
Right, separately. But here's the thing. A is what they call...
a high discount rate.
Yeah, which means he basically prioritizes.
Short-term gains over long-term benefits.
Exactly. So it's hard to trust him, you know?
Yeah, because he might just break the deal if something better comes along.
Right. So how do you get A to cooperate?
That's where the tight engagements come in.
Okay, I'm listening.
So if A links his agreements with B and C together, it changes the whole game.
Interesting.
Now he risks losing both relationships if he breaks a promise.
So it's like a way to keep him accountable.
Exactly. It's like a built-in incentive for cooperation, even if those relationships seem totally unrelated.
It's kind of like checks and balances.
Yeah, sort of.
This is making me think, like, could we actually use this idea in our own lives?
Or in organizations.
Yeah, like to build trust or encourage people to work together.
That's a great question. I'm going to have to think about that one.
Me too. Okay, so we've covered a lot.
We have data visualization, global goals, and now the world of institutions.
We are on a roll.
Yes.
But there's still more to unpack in that audiobook, especially when it comes to how knowledge is created and shared.
I'm ready for more.
All right, well then let's dive back in.
Let's go. Okay, so you know how we were talking about institutions?
Yeah.
Well, Dasgupta really gets into how they shape knowledge creation. And he makes this distinction between, like, science and technology.
I'm listening.
So science is like publicly funded research and development, you know, like universities and labs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then technology is more about how that knowledge gets turned into, well,
actual technology.
exactly, products and stuff.
That's interesting. I never thought of it that way before.
It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
So like in the science world, the goal is to
discover new stuff.
Yeah. And then share it with everyone.
Make it public.
Right. Like scientists get rewarded for publishing their findings.
Oh, so it's not about making money.
Not really. It's more about getting recognition from other scientists.
Like grants and stuff.
Yeah, and just like the prestige of being published in a top journal.
So it's more about the pursuit of knowledge itself.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then on the technology side, it's more about...
Well, think about companies like Apple or Google. They invest tons of money in research and development.
Yeah.
But they're doing it to create products.
Yeah.
You know, to get ahead of the competition.
And make a profit.
Exactly.
So it's a very different set of incentives.
Totally. Like they're not just going to give away their latest inventions for free.
Right. They need to protect their intellectual property.
Exactly, with patents and stuff.
Yeah, which I get, but it makes you wonder
about,
well, like who actually benefits from all this innovation?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Is it just the companies or does society as a whole benefit?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And Dasgupta talks about how this system of privatizing knowledge, it's led to amazing progress, but it also creates tension between private gain and public good.
Right. So how do we balance those things?
Well, one thing Dasgupta talks about is this idea of the rule of priority in science.
The rule of priority.
Yeah. So basically, the first scientist to publish a discovery gets the credit.
Like a race to be first.
Sort of. It's a way to encourage scientists to share their findings quickly.
Oh, I see. So it's like a built-in incentive for transparency.
Exactly. And it's worked really well for a long time, you know?
Like all the major scientific breakthroughs.
Exactly. Think about medicine, physics, astronomy.
It's all driven by this desire to be the first to publish.
To make your mark on the world of knowledge.
That's pretty cool.
It is. But of course, there's some downsides too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, all that pressure to publish,
it
can lead to like sloppy research or even unethical behavior, you know?
Like if scientists cut corners just to get their work out there first.
Exactly. And we're seeing that with like all the retractions in scientific journals.
Oh, yeah, where papers get pulled because of errors or even fraud.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern.
It's like a double-edged sword.
In a way, yeah. But I think the rule of priority has still been a good thing overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's led to incredible progress.
It has.
This is making me think about everything we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
Like the HDI, the SDGs, and now this whole discussion about knowledge creation.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah, like it's all part of this bigger picture of how we create a better future.
And how institutions play a role in that.
Exactly.
But how understanding those institutions is crucial for navigating the challenges of the 21st century.
Right, like with artificial intelligence and climate change and all that.
We need to think about how we produce knowledge, how we use it, and how we make sure it benefits everyone.
This is a lot to process.
It is, but it's exciting stuff.
I know. I feel like I'm learning so much.
Me too.
Dasgupta really makes you think, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't give you all the answers.
But he gives you the tools to ask the right questions.
That's a great way to put it.
And that's what I love about these deep dives.
Me too.
It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah, and thinking critically about the world around us.
Okay, I'm ready for the final part of this deep dive. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're back and ready to finish this deep dive.
Let's do it. I'm really curious to hear what else Dasgupta has to say about, like, the challenges we face.
Yeah, me too, especially when it comes to knowledge and innovation, you know?
Right, like in today's world, things are changing so fast.
Exactly. So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, he keeps coming back to this idea of the interplay between science and technology. He's basically arguing that we need both.
Okay.
Like they kind of feed off each other, and that's what drives progress.
Yeah, I get that.
But he also points out that there might be like some imbalances in the system.
Imbalances? Like what?
Well, for example, he talks about how science, with its focus on public funding and sharing knowledge openly, it's given us amazing breakthroughs in basic research.
Or fundamental discoveries, right?
Exactly. But there's a worry that we're not putting enough emphasis on the technology side.
You mean like actually taking those discoveries and turning them into something practical?
Yes, like things that can actually improve people's lives.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
So Dasgupta is saying we need to figure out how to encourage both types of research.
Both basic and applied.
Right, like a system that rewards both the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake and also the development of new technologies that can solve real-world problems.
So finding that balance between like the open sharing of scientific knowledge and giving companies enough incentive to invest in R&D.
Exactly. It's tricky, right?
It is. You have to protect intellectual property, but you also want knowledge to be accessible.
To everyone, so we can all benefit.
Right. And I bet it gets even harder with things like AI, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Artificial intelligence is a game changer.
Like who controls the data? What are the ethical implications?
All these huge questions. And Dasgupta's work is making me think about like the institutions that are shaping these technologies.
Yeah. He's saying we need to be proactive and create systems that guide innovation in the right direction.
So it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
This is all connecting back to what we were talking about before.
With the HDI and the SDGs.
Yeah, it's all about creating a better future, right?
And making sure progress is shared.
And institutions are key to making that happen.
It's a powerful realization, isn't it?
It is. Dasgupta doesn't have all the answers.
No, but he gives us the tools to ask the right questions.
That's what I love about these deep dives.
Me too. We go beyond just learning the facts.
Right. We start to understand the bigger picture.
The systems, the connections, the challenges, the possibilities.
It's about thinking critically and engaging with the world around us.
And using that knowledge to make a difference, you know.
Exactly. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this deep dive. We covered a lot of ground today.
We did. Data visualization, global goals, institutions, the whole shebang.
Hopefully everyone listening found it insightful and, you know, something to really think about.
I know I did.
Me too. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
See ya.